All right, guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So, for today, I'm going to be going over an article here written by a woman that deals with Me Too in the workplace. And this article talks about how male managers, are pretty much scared to work with women because of the potential repercussions and the problems that can go wrong due to an overreaction or something like that. And this article, she goes into obviously the disadvantages that women now have because men are distancing themselves from their female coworkers and women that work under them, and obviously is complaining about this. And later on through the article, she goes through 10 different things that men can do to make the situation better and more accommodating to them, and so this problem wouldn't continue. And this has become a real issue now. And I mean, I remember the other day, not the other day, but about a month or two ago, I was out somewhere with a bunch of friends, and a girl that I'm acquainted with, she was talking about how basically after work, she was out with a bunch of guys, and when they were all leaving, the guy, he would shake the other guy's hands, but he wouldn't shake her hand. And that bothered her, And so it goes to show you where things have gone. And it's going to be this way for a while, and you'll be careful what you wish for, So I'm going to go over this article here. And by the way, going forward now until this quarantine's lifted, and it really is lifted for a good reason, and we know everything's cool, I'll be doing these articles here out, because I used to go out, leave the house about once a week, and I was cool with that. Now I'm losing my mind. I got to get out every day. So I'm going to use that time when I'm out, go to a park, and go over the different articles and videos that I do, because I'm losing my mind being stuck in the house. All right, guys. So the title of this article is, in the Me Too era, 60% of male managers say they're scared of being alone with women at work. And starts out saying, Denise Dudley, a business consultant based in San Luis Obispo, California, has traveled a lot for her career over the last 4 decades. She has taken business trips that have lasted for weeks, many with senior male colleagues. In those early days, she learned a lot from both her male and female colleagues. She remembers the names of those who mentored her, and unfortunately, she also recalls the names and behavior of those male colleagues who acted inappropriately. And she says here are just some of the comments she's heard from would-be mentors, enough to make you never want to take a business trip in this town or any town again. They include ambiguous innuendos, ho ho, we need to stop meeting like this, ho ho. Where the hell did she travel to for business? The North Pole? Was she meeting with Santa Claus? I don't think he was calling her a hoe. I think that's just ho ho. Okay. My wife just doesn't understand me. You look really beautiful with your hair down, and offers to help navigate hotel corridors at night. Let me help you find your room and make sure it's comfortable. Okay, that last one I can get. That can make a woman by herself feel uncomfortable. But the thing about my wife just doesn't understand me, well, any of you guys obviously work with female coworkers. They want to talk and gossip about people's lives in terms of like their dating life and their wives and things like that. They ask all the time. They want to talk about it. And I know I've experienced this in the workplace myself, and I know plenty of other people that do. So, people are going to get personal and open up. And unless she absolutely hasn't brought it up before, I can see where, okay, don't bring that up. But even still, that's really overreacting. But I get the whole thing about the let me help you find your room, make sure it's comfortable. That I can see. That's reasonable. So it goes on to say, these days, even the good guys are afraid of being alone with women. An increasing number of men say they are fearful of working with female colleagues in the Me Too era. 60% of male managers say they are uncomfortable mentoring, socializing, or even working alone with women in the workplace, up from 46% a year ago, according to a survey released on Friday by female empowerment site leanin.org, the brainchild of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg. Now, this article is a year old, but I think it was definitely relevant for today. So if it's 60% back then, I'm sure it's even higher now. Goes on to say, those stories and the cascade of revelations about scores of powerful men mistreating women that followed sparked a national conversation about what constitutes appropriate workplace behavior. And it says here in quotes, if more men mentor women, it will ultimately lead to stronger and safer workplaces for everyone. When more women are in leadership, organizations offer employees more generous policies and produce better business results, the Lean-In survey says. Well, I'm sure that's absolutely true. Men are good mentors. But the problem is that if men in this era are fearful that the slightest thing they may say could get a woman all worked up, or she may use as an opportunity to stir up some trouble with HR, that guy could lose his job. And that's it for his line of work. And if he's older, and obviously he's in a mentoring position because he's obviously a senior maybe in the company, at his age, it can be very hard for him to find work because obviously once you get to your 50s, it's a lot harder. So guys aren't taking the chances. Just like I said, that girl I'm acquainted with, guy wouldn't shake her hand, because it'd be taken the wrong way. It's unfortunate, but that's how things have gone. Things have gone too far because of, how things have gone with, understandably women were certainly taken advantage of and things like that. It has happened, but I think a lot of times it was just guys joking around, and now you can't even joke around or pretty much do anything without a potential overreaction. And I know I did an article about this about a month ago, and the amount of comments I read was staggering about how many guys in the workplace in a situation just like this, where they've seen overreactions and they have gotten dragged into HR and got in trouble. Some have lost their jobs. And so why risk it? It's best to keep your distance and not say anything. And obviously avoid mentoring and dinners and travel, which is this article is going to get into momentarily. So the article continues saying, Dudley, the author of Work It, Get In, Get Noticed, Get Promoted, said there are two big issues facing workplaces in the Me2 era. How female workers recognize when a male colleague is crossing professional boundaries, and how to help male coworkers and managers to navigate these issues safely. If a man does something odd but doesn't cross a line, it could be one error of judgment. If he almost crosses that line twice or three times, it could start to look like harassment. This is according to her. She's in quotation says, I think that's what's happening to Joe Biden right now, she says. I seriously doubt he is lecherous, but he may simply be touching women too much, a cumulative problem. Biden, one of the many 2020 Democratic presidential hopefuls, has been called out by several women for making them feel uncomfortable by touching their shoulders, neck, and or back. For his part, Biden said he will adapt to what he describes as a new era for how men should behave around women. Yeah, old Joe definitely has gotten some complaints about that. This obviously was a year ago now. He is now, looks to be, obviously Bernie Sanders dropped out, so he's the only one left, and obviously he's going to get nominated. So it goes on to say men, especially those in senior positions, are apparently wrestling with that question more than ever. The Lean-In survey conducted in partnership with SurveyMonkey polled that 5,000 adults in the U.S. It found that men in senior leadership roles are 12 times more likely to be hesitant to meet with a woman than a man, 9 times more likely to not want to travel on a business trip with a female colleague, and 6 times more likely to avoid work dinners with a woman. Yeah, the numbers are definitely going up, and I know some people are like this. And again, the article I did about a month ago dealing with something similar to this, the comments, I didn't read all the comments because there were over 1,000, but you hear about things just like this. Guys are avoiding it because they don't want to take the chance of losing their job that they busted their butt for to get a good position in. Why take the chance? Because of all these overreactions, and there are women that are outright evil that would do it on purpose to get a lot of money out of it, or they're on a power trip, or vengeful. It's really sad, but it happens. It says here, women get less of the mentorship and sponsorship that opens the doors. Whether this is driven by sexism or because men, perhaps unconsciously, gravitate towards helping other men, the result is that women miss out. So here she's complaining about this now, that now because of this, now they're missing out. There's also a fundamental difference of opinion on the Me Too movement. 50% of men say that the consequences of sexual harassment are more damaging to the harassers, not the victims. 64% of women say the victims have more to lose. And by the way, I definitely have seen a lot of comments from women that believe that this has gone too far. And I've talked to different women that think this has gone too far. So it isn't just guys. And it's good to hear that there are women out there that think that things have gone too far. And this is where it gets to be interesting. It says, here are some tips from Dudley on what men should avoid when working closely with a female colleague, especially a direct report or someone who is further down on the corporate ladder. And she lists 10 different things that us guys in the workplace can be aware of and do to better the situation. So you'll like this. Number 1, don't make off-color jokes. She says, "I was just joking," is the kind of thing that teachers in high schools might hear from students. But this won't go down well during a sexual harassment complaint at words. Human resources will take your words at face value, so should you. Yeah, how many times are people just casually joking around and it's blown out of proportion, and then next thing you know, HR is involved. And it's really unfortunate because you can't even joke around anymore. Number 2, don't breathe down her neck. Dudley recommends keeping approximately 2 to 3 feet of personal space between people. No one wants to get up and close and personal with your cologne or what you had for breakfast. If they can feel your breath, you're too close. Okay, I get the really close thing, but the 2 to 3 feet, so should every guy carry some measuring tape in his jacket pocket or briefcase and stretch it out just to make sure, oh, excuse me, hang on, before we can meet, we need to have 2 to 3 feet here, just to be safe. Give me a break. And oftentimes, if you're working on a project, you're going to get in close to observe and look, or say you're on the computer and you have to show somebody something, they're going to get in close. We're not going to have social distancing in work, so just so somebody doesn't feel like they're being harassed. Number 3, don't go in for the hug. Stick with a handshake as a way to touch females' mentees, unless it's very clear to you that the other person is a hugger. And still, it can be risky. Don't pat, pet, or poke at a female. If in doubt, leave out. Hug your children, not your coworkers. So, anytime in my life when I wasn't working for myself and had a job, or I've been to, a girlfriend's work function, or anybody else I know that does this, outside of work, if coworkers get together for a drink, or there's a party or, a company outing, guys are shaking hands, and almost always the women are hugging guys and hugging each other. This has happened countless times in my life. And I've seen this bazillion times. So they're the ones that are hugging. Am I supposed to just stop there and be like, nope, we can't hug? But according to this lady, oh, you should. Again, all this stuff, and I'm only on number 3. There's 7 more to go. This is why guys obviously are so uncomfortable. And this is why guys are stepping away, because it's ridiculous. It's over the top. Number 4, don't wink and make weird faces. Avoid winking, raising your eyebrows up and down, licking your lips, or any other non-standard facial expression. Dudley adds, they can be taken for, come on, stick with a sincere smile. On business trips or after hours, go easy on the alcohol. So if my lips are dry and I'm with a female coworker, I can't lick my lips until the meeting's over because she's going to take it the wrong way. Okay, the alcohol I can kind of get because, but you know what? How many times have we seen female coworkers drink and they get a little out of hand? But of course, it'd be our fault. Number 5, don't assume you always know best. Oh boy. You will soon understand how comfortable your mentee is with your presence and whether you need to modify the way you're interacting with her. Ask her what you can do better too. Being a mentor is a professional relationship everyone is learning. Yeah, everyone is learning, but still you're the mentor and they're the ones you look up to. Asking for reviews and how you're doing things, that seems a bit much. Number 6, don't tell her all of your marital or dating problems. Says, don't share information about your romantic life, that is, my girlfriend says, or I'm currently single, or do you know anyone who could set me up with? Or I'm heading out on a date, how do I look? So, I don't know about you guys, but in the past, working with female coworkers, all women love to gossip, and all women love to know about what the guys they're working with and friends with are doing in their love lives. And they always ask, especially the young single ones. I know plenty of them that are like that, Girls I'm friends with, girlfriends, buddies of mine, they're always in everybody's business about who they're dating, who broke up, things like that. So oftentimes, they're the ones that start these conversations, not us. Most of the time, us guys keep it quiet. Number 7, don't act as if you're at home on the sofa. Don't scratch your armpits, play with your arm hair, or God forbid, adjust yourself down there. Even subtly, Dudley says. I've seen it happen. You don't want to deliver any visual cues that imply sexuality or even personal sensuality. I don't know about scratching your armpits is a visual cue for sexuality, but okay. Now, I wouldn't do that anyway, but I'm glad she's here to let us know this. Just pay attention about that one there. No scratching your armpits or down there, because that could be, taken the wrong way. Number 8, don't tell her you like her perfume. Well, I'm not in the business of validating women anyway, but regardless, it says here, it's better to stick to professional compliments. And as an example, your report was absolutely stellar, or you did a great job leading that presentation today. Until you've established your relationship and built up some trust, she says, even then, tread carefully. Well, women like compliments. I'm not in the business of complimenting and validating women because it builds up their egos, and that's a conversation for another day. But, in my mind, it's not the end of the world if somebody you work with, a female coworker, and you're friends with, and you're cool with, hey, that smells good. But this is proving how right now men are keeping their distance. They're not saying a thing, not even hugging or shaking a woman's hand because of how things can be taken over, way out of context. Number 9, don't hog all of her time too late into the evening. Just because you like to work late, that doesn't mean your underling should be expected to stay late night after night without any clear indication of when it's okay to leave. Be aware of your seniority and be respectful of their time. So a lot of people in their jobs have to stay past after hours, okay? So basically, if you have to make a special exception for women, that's not treating them as equals. That's making special treatment, okay? If you want to have equal treatment, fine, but not this special treatment here. Because if you're working on a project that has a deadline, you got to stay after hours, all the men have to stay, but the women go home because, God forbid, they're going to feel like something's wrong and they're uncomfortable? I don't think so. If they're on the team, there's a project, they got to stay late. This is ridiculous. Number 10, and this is the only one I can kind of get. It says here, don't have meetings at home or in hotel rooms. This goes without saying after the allegations of sexual misconduct and assault against movie mogul Harvey Weinstein in 2017, which allegedly took place in hotel rooms, in which he has denied never hold a meeting at home or in a hotel room. Okay, I can get that one. And the only way you would do it at home or in a hotel room is if you had a whole bunch of other people there, and maybe you ordered some drinks and appetizers, and you're doing a meeting before you had a function at a convention or something in the hotel. But obviously, just in your hotel, you and the female coworker or the woman working under you, that's a bad idea. So I get that, And she goes on to say, there's a good reason to keep these tips in your back pocket. Me2 galvanized women in the workplace to speak out against sexual harassment, but the problem is still prevalent. The majority of women in the workplace, and this says 57%, report that they've experienced some form of sexual harassment on the job, whether it's hearing sexist jokes or being touched inappropriately, and 24% of women say harassment is still on the rise, the survey found. The loss of interaction is becoming detrimental to female growth at work. Women are 24% less likely than men to get advice from senior leaders, according to the survey, which could hinder them from rising in the ranks at their companies since the majority of managers and senior leaders are men. Women make up 6.6% of CEOs at companies on the Fortune 500 list. So support from male allies at work can be imperative in some cases for women to climb the corporate ladder. Well, again, if things are blown out of proportion like they are, and guys are fearful that anything they say or do that is wrong or, considered wrong, they could jeopardize their career that they've worked so hard at. Of course they're going to avoid women. Of course they're going to back away. You can't have both. And all these guidelines, these 10 different things, that just goes to show you how over the top it's gone. Sure, I can understand obviously where some of this came from because of obviously women really being harassed and abused and things like that. Let's be honest, it has happened. But how many times has been an overreaction? How many times has been BS? So she says, the good news, some progress is being made at reducing bad behavior. Workplaces were 63% more likely this year to implement additional training to reduce sexual harassment incidents at work, up 55% in 2018, according to a separate survey from San Francisco-based law firm Littler Mendelson released this month. And 51% of employees updated human resources policies and handbooks this year, and increased from 38% in 2018. And she says here, I don't want to live in a world where men and women can't be kind and loving to one another. But I certainly don't want to live in a world where women are marginalized and victimized by their male coworkers. So there you have it. It's a long article. It's probably the longest video I've done about this, but I really want to cover it. And, that's how things have gone with regards to the Me Too era. And I think, honestly, it's going to get worse. And then eventually people will say enough's enough, that eventually HR and those that are in power are going to say, hey, you know what, you're overreacting. If a woman complains about something, you're overreacting. This is ridiculous. Da, 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 da. Again, like the article I did a month ago, the amount of comments were amazing about how many guys talked about and gave examples of the workplace and how it's been happening and how they are avoiding it because they don't want to lose their jobs, and they don't want, or guys that have lost their jobs and have been penalized because of somebody really overreacting or just someone that was just spiteful. And it really is a witch hunt. And these witch hunts just go on and go on until eventually it's too much, and that's that. So hopefully that'll be over sooner than later. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know any experiences you've had with this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time.